Hello everyone. How can you avoid getting tangled up in a huge number of work tasks and always meet your deadlines? A few years ago, I worked in the service department of a large electronics store where I had to process dozens of customer requests daily, handling equipment repairs, accepting claims, working with complaints, and so on. Every task had its own deadline, so everything had to be done on time. My colleagues kept track of their tasks in ordinary paper planners, but I created my own task management system in Excel, which eventually the entire department started using. It automatically tracked deadlines, highlighted priorities, sorted tasks, and helped me stay organized every day. Suppose a customer comes to me to drop off some equipment they bought at our store for repair. I simply enter the date of their request, and a new row is added to my table, automatically assigned a number. Then, from a drop-down list, I select the appropriate task, and its deadline appears in the table, which directly affects the cell's color. You can very quickly tell from the color which tasks need immediate attention. The table becomes even more visual after sorting by this column. I can immediately see that tasks in red cells have high priority, while green ones are the opposite. Furthermore, the deadlines in these cells update automatically every day, making them very easy to monitor. For easier viewing, I also set up automatic row highlighting. You just click once on any cell, and the entire row is selected except for the deadline cell. And when a task is fully completed, you can send it to the archive simply by clicking a checkbox. See, the row has just disappeared from the table and moved to the archive of completed tasks. Now it's on another sheet, and if anything goes wrong, you can always bring it back. The control system is quite simple, but very convenient and effective. Today, I'll show you how to create a similar system for your own tasks, even if you're a beginner in Excel. Let's get started. In total, you'll need 3 sheets for this project. For each one, you need to enter a corresponding name. The first sheet is active tasks. The second sheet is completed tasks. This is where finished tasks will be automatically moved. And the third sheet is settings. On the settings sheet, you need to make a list of your recurring daily task types. Maybe for you, it's something like order fulfillment, reports, or other tasks with a specific deadline. I'll demonstrate using the example of a service department employee at a home appliance and electronics store. On this sheet, you need to create a table with 2 columns. All tables for our project must be smart tables. Select one of the filled cells and press the Ctrl-T shortcut. In the first column, list your daily work tasks. In the second column, specify their deadlines. I remind you that these are just example deadlines used for demonstration purposes. You can customize them for your own business. To make it easier to use the data from this table in formulas later, give it a name in the Table Design tab. You can also change the table style if you wish. Personally, I don't attach much importance to it and just use the plainest design. That's it. The table is ready. If necessary, you can add new tasks and deadlines to it later. Now let's switch to the first sheet and create a table for tracking active tasks. Everything here is done similarly to the previous table. The only difference is the number of columns, so I'll fast forward a bit so as not to drag out this lesson. The table headers are done. To make it visually clearer, I'll turn off the grid lines on the sheet. You can do this for all sheets at once. Select them while holding down the Control key, and in the View tab, uncheck the grid lines checkbox. And I'll create one more table for the archive in the same way. Since most of the column names are identical, it's easier to copy the active tasks table and edit it slightly. So the tables are finally created, and we can move on to the most interesting and important part of the lesson. In the first column of the table, we need to set up automatic row numbering. It's essential to keep in mind here that rows will be periodically added and removed. Therefore, the numbering must be set up to remain stable, regardless of changes to the table. For this, I use the following formula. The formula is ready, and now, as soon as I enter the customer's request date in column C, a row number automatically appears on the left. Deleting rows doesn't affect the numbering order at all, and that's exactly what we need. If you're not very good with Excel formulas, the key thing you need to ensure in this particular formula is that the cell address in the first argument matches the cell containing the date. For me, that's cell C5. If your table is placed differently on the sheet, specify the address of the cell where your date is located, otherwise the formula won't work correctly. Also, pay attention to the number 4. I have this exact number to ensure correct numbering based on my table's location on the sheet. If I remove it from the formula, instead of 1, the number would be 5, which is wrong, so I put the 4 back in the formula. If your table is located, say lower or higher than mine, keep this in mind and subtract the correct number of rows for proper numbering. By the way, do you think I should spend less time on details or continue explaining everything as thoroughly? Let me know in the comments. I copy the exact same formula for the second table. Now that we've sorted out the numbering, let's move on to creating the drop-down list for task selection. Click on a cell in this column, then go to the Data tab. Here, we're interested in the data validation tool. In the first field, choose List, and in the Source field, enter the formula. For the formula to work correctly, pay attention to 2 things. First, you need to tell the program where to get the data for the list. The list is in the table we created at the beginning of the lesson, which, if you remember, we named list. You need to include this name in the formula. But the name alone isn't enough. You need to specify exactly which column of that table to pull the data from. The column with this data is called task type, and its name should also be included in the formula. If you've done everything correctly, an arrow button will appear to the right of the cell for opening the list. So, another step is behind us, and we move on to setting up the automatic day count. For this formula to work correctly, you need to pay attention to the cell address containing the date. For me, it's C5, and don't forget to correctly specify the cell with the selected task type. For me, it's E5. Your cell addresses might differ, so keep that in mind. Also, the formula should contain the name of the table from which we recently created our task list. The main magic of this formula is that, thanks to the today function, the number of remaining days for the task will automatically decrease. Right now, you see that there are 30 days left to complete the repair, but when you come to work tomorrow and open this table again, the number will be 29, and that's just excellent from a deadline monitoring perspective. That's already good, but let's make this table even more convenient. In the Home tab, there's a very useful and versatile tool for conditional formatting. Just choose the Color Scales option, and the deadline colors will change depending on the number of days. Shortly after filling the table, we'll see how the colors of these cells change. Now it's time to add a checkbox to the last column. Once clicked, the task will be considered complete and moved to the archive. In the second table, we also need to add a checkbox for returning a task back to the active table. Before we proceed, save your Excel document in the xlsm format. All our further work will be done in this file because the xlsm format is required for running macros. Don't worry, you won't need any programming skills. The neural network Gemini will write all the code for us. In my opinion, it handles this task perfectly, but you can experiment with other AI models too. So, I want Gemini to analyze my table and write VBA code that will move rows between the tables when the checkboxes are clicked. Additionally, a confirmation dialog box should pop up before moving a row, and this code should also contain a command for automatically highlighting the active row, that is, the row you clicked on. It might seem like there's nothing difficult in these tasks for a neural network, and it will certainly handle them, but it rarely gets everything right on the first try. It usually takes a few corrections, so I've prepared a highly detailed prompt for the AI that is very likely to work on the first attempt. You can download the file with this prompt using the link in the description or in the first pinned comment. Just attach your Excel file to your request, then open the downloaded prompt file, copy all the text, paste it into your message, and send it. The AI will analyze your attached file and, based on the prompt, write the VBA code. In just a few seconds, the code is ready, and you didn't need any additional knowledge. Now you need to copy it into Excel. Go back to your document and simultaneously press Alt F11 to open the VBA editor. In the left pane of the window, double-click on the sheet with active tasks and paste the code into it. Gemini gives us a hint on which code goes where. Here is the code intended for this sheet. Then, copy the code for the second sheet containing the completed tasks archive. Now, create a module via the Insert tab and paste the following code into it. After that, close the VBA editor. Let's test if the code works. As you can see, everything works as it should for me. The warning dialog pops up and the row is moved. Also, the second table displays information on whether the deadline was missed or the task was completed on time. The row is successfully sent back as well. If the neural network didn't give you working code on the first try, don't worry, everything can be fixed. Simply take a screenshot of the problem so the AI can see the error, then send it with a request to make corrections. It will write a new code for you, taking the errors into account, which will most likely work, and everything will be fine. Overall, you should now have a fully functional task tracker. Just enter the customer and task details, and the table itself will show you all the deadlines and set priorities. Oh, I almost forgot one more small detail. Let's set up the auto row highlighting. The code the AI wrote for you should do this. But first, we need to set up conditional formatting. So, select all the cells in the table, excluding the header. Go to the conditional formatting settings and create a new rule with a formula. Enter this formula and set the fill color. As you can see, the row is automatically highlighted in the chosen color the moment I click on any cell within that row. I set up auto row highlighting for the first table in the same way. Everything works, but there's one small nuance. The deadline cells already have their own priority colors, and we need to make sure they don't get recolored along with the whole row. To fix this, I'll slightly modify my formula. Notice that the column containing your task deadlines should be specified here. In my case, that's column H. This time, everything except column H is highlighted. Now the control table is fully ready to use. With it, you won't miss a single task, and essentially all your work is right in front of you with clearly defined priorities and comments. Give this video a like if it was helpful and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new Excel tutorials. I wish you success in your learning and see you next time.